Now, Republican Senator from Missouri and Armed Services Committee member Eric Schmitt. Senator Schmitt, good to see you. As we just mentioned, Republican Senator Joni Ernst, all eyes on her. Do you know how she's going to vote?
I've not asked her directly, but I also haven't heard of any no votes on the committee or otherwise. I think Pete Hegseth did a great job today. I think he's sailing towards a confirmation. I think we're going to do it quickly. I think for all the national security picks, we want to move expeditiously. And I don't think anything that happened in that committee today changed anything. The reality that President Trump won on a reform agenda. Pete Hegseth wants to go do that in the Pentagon that sorely needs reform. I think he answered those questions today, and like I said, I think he's going to win the committee vote and have the votes on the floor.
So Hegseth repeatedly said that specific allegations raised about his drinking or other allegations were, quote, anonymous smears. I want to play some of the exchange that he had with Democratic Senator Mark Kelly.
Summer of 2014 in Cleveland, drunk in public with the CVA team.
Anonymous smears.
I'm just asking for true or false questions, true or false answers. December of 2014 at the CVA Christmas party at the Grand Hyatt at Washington, D.C., you were noticeably intoxicated and had to be carried up to your room. Is that true or false?
Anonymous smears.
Another time, a CVA staffer stated that you passed out in the back of a party bus. Is that true or false?
Anonymous smears.
Here's another one with Democratic Senator Tim Kaine.
Another colleague, not anonymous, we have this, said that you took co-workers to a strip club. You were drunk. You tried to dance with strippers. You had to be held off the stage. Senator, anonymous false charges.
Right. Well, so that last one wasn't anonymous. But I guess my question is, just to translate for us, when he said anonymous smears, and your colleague Senator Kelly was saying just say true or false, and he wouldn't say true or false. He would say anonymous smears. Did anonymous smears mean false? Is that what he meant?
That's what smear means to me. Somebody's making a false accusation. And so I think, again, he addressed all those. That's why we have this hearing. The Democrats came loaded for bear to try to bloody him up today. Nothing changed. He denied any of those allegations that are all anonymous, except for, I don't know what one Senator Kaine's referring to. But then also the more salacious one about the charges that were never brought by a prosecutor, a female prosecutor who looked at all the evidence and never brought the charges. So, again, I think they want to make it all about these anonymous accusations that he's denied. And ultimately, I think his nomination stands at its own merit. He's going to do a good job. He's going to reform the Pentagon, and it sorely needs it.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer criticized the chairman of your committee, Roger Wicker, because he didn't allow all committee members to review Hegseth's FBI background check. He suggested, Schumer, that means he has something to hide. What's your response to that?
I mean, it's pretty desperate. I mean, Chuck Schumer has covered for some pretty ridiculous things over the last few years. But look, we've done a deep dive on this, and there's just nothing there. I know they want them to be there, and when they say the FBI, they need to do a further investigation, it means they didn't find what they wanted them to find, which is something that's disqualifying. And I think it's just sour grapes. And I would also point out, Jake, in addition to the fact that there have only been 3 negative votes, not confirmations tanked, but 3 negative votes since Bill Clinton on any nominee that's been put forth by the president's party, if that party controls the Senate, it'd be very unusual to not move forward. But the Democrats have succeeded today in breaking another norm on the Armed Services Committee. It's typically a bipartisan committee for good reason, and they've made this a totally partisan enterprise. So, like they did on the Supreme Court and other efforts on their part, they've sort of broken the seal.
I want to get your response to something said by your colleague, Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma, defending Hegseth when it comes to the allegations. Again, that Hegseth denies that he was sometimes drunk at work events or on the job. Take a listen.
How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? How many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down?
Sounds like Caligula's palace over there. What kind of drinking and cheating is going on over there?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that I've only been here 2 years, Jake. Maybe I haven't seen enough. But I think he's pointing out the hypocrisy that the Democrats, again, the party of Bill Clinton here, somehow have this moral outrage about these accusations. And so I think we're looking at this nomination for who can come in and take on the very important role of running the Pentagon, who can root out DEI. Part of my questioning was to talk about the recruitment crisis we have because of this woke ideology that divides the room by oppressor and oppressed. It's race essentialism. It's killing recruiting. Focusing on China, we need to be able to do that. And then procurement reform, the stuff that the Pentagon needs to do better, more efficiently. China has a bigger Navy than we have. Not a better Navy, but they have a bigger Navy. Mm-hmm. China's in space for real. They're building islands off the South China Sea. So I think it's time we get somebody like Pete Hegseth in place who's not part of the typical permanent Washington cocktail party class, but somebody who's going to shake things up. I think we need that.
Yeah, I don't take issue with the premise that the Pentagon needs shaking up and that outsiders are good. I think there were some questions that I think are reasonable about the ability of anybody who's only really been in charge of an organization of a couple dozen people. This isn't personal against Pete Hegseth, but the military, 3 million people, $900 billion budget. I mean, that is a big managerial challenge.
Well, let's just put it this way. We're at where we're at right now with Lloyd Austin, okay, who I guess the Democrats would have said is overtly qualified. Meanwhile, we had a disastrous withdrawal in Afghanistan. He went MIA without informing the President of the United States for surgery. So there's a lot of problems that we've had in the military the last 4 years. A lot of these systemic issues with procurement have not been solved by these so-called experts. And so I think Pete's going to come in and he's going to hire people to do some of these important jobs too. It's not like, the Secretary of Defense is actually writing all the procurement documents. I think it's a time for more innovation. It's time for reform. Let's get more competition. Things are just too expensive. They're not delivered on time. And we need to be much more nimble, Jake. I think everybody agrees with that. It's a bipartisan issue. It's just sad the Democrats made it such a partisan display today.
All right. Well, speaking of cocktail parties, it sounds like you need to talk to Senator Mullen because there sounds like some fun ones that you're not getting invites to.
I'm not getting the invite, I guess. That's right.
All right. Good to see you, Senator. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.